Hey y'all, today I am going to show you how to throw down, y'all. We're going to throw down a soul food Sunday meal. Baby, this is what the family is looking for, okay? And the best part is that I'm going to show you step by step the best method to use so that you do not waste time while you are making this meal. All right, y'all, let's go ahead and get into it. The first thing we're gonna make is the dessert. I always suggest making your dessert the night before. Only problem with this is that you're gonna have to fight your family, okay? Some of y'all got them husbands, them spouses, them kids, okay, that will try to eat the dessert. You're gonna have to stop that, all right? One thing I can guarantee you is that this Oreo pound cake about to have you in a choke hold, okay? This pound cake is good. Now, as far as time saving, you all know that I love to weigh out my flour for pound cakes. Not only is this quicker than sifting and then putting it into the cup, it also ensures you have an accurate measurement so that your pound cake is not dry. Since I already have out the scale, I'm going to weigh my sugar as well just to be quick with it. However, it really doesn't make a difference if you use a measuring cup for this because sugar is not compacted. Now into my flour, I am going to put salt, baking powder, and a box of this Oreo pudding mix. Put the whole box in there, y'all. This pudding mix will change your pound cake game, okay? I got the family size Oreos, but you know what? You can steal some Oreos from your kid lunchbox because you know what? They don't even need to be having that anyway, okay? We're going to take about 15 of them and then we are going to crush them with a rolling pin. Now, you could use a meat mallet, but you know, I'm going old school on this thing right here. I love to put cream cheese in pound cakes. That is one of the #1 things that will actually make your pound cake moist. So I'm going to add 2 sticks of butter and an 8-ounce block of cream cheese in all of the sugar. I meant to actually add a 1/2 cup of butter flavored shortening as well, but I forgot that, and you'll see that I put that in later. I am going to beat this until it is nice and fluffy. If you do not like shortening or butter flavored shortening in your pound cakes, feel free to just use 3 sticks of butter. You'll actually get a very similar result, but I'm just trying to save a little money because y'all know butter is expensive out here. I am going to drop in my eggs one at a time, and I'm going to allow the mixer to beat for about 10 seconds between each egg, just to make sure that they are thoroughly combined. I'm putting a whole tablespoon of vanilla, and y'all, a little bit of almond extract makes a big difference in a cake that has a bit of chocolate in it, like our Oreos. Just put a little in there and you're going to see, okay? I am then going to add in my flour mixture, about a cup at a time, and then let this stir until it is just combined. You do not want to overmix or your pound cake gonna be tough. I promise you, you're gonna regret it, okay? You can put in as much Oreos as you want. I'm going to put in about 1.5 cups of Oreos. I like to save the rest of them to add to the top because I think it looks really pretty and you get a nice Oreo crust. But you can add them all in right now if you want. It's really just up to you. This is my Crisco. Baby, I love this stuff. I know some of y'all be like, it's not healthy, it's not this. Baby, it's a pound cake. Ain't none of this healthy, all right? So into my bundt pan, I am going to go ahead and grease it with some Crisco, and then I am going to add sugar. Have you all ever used sugar to coat your bundt pans before? The reason why I like sugar over flour sometimes is because sometimes flour can brown on the outside of your cake, and I don't want that with this cake because I'm going to do that Oreo crust. So the sugar is going to caramelize and get make a nice little crunchy crust, but it's still going to make my cake slip right out of the pan. If you've never tried sugar to coat your bundt cakes, definitely try it. I'm now going to add the rest of the Oreos to the bottom of my pound cake pan and spread them out. Then you are going to gently add in your batter and just spread it around your pan. Make sure you take your spatula and go across the top of the batter because you want to smooth that out. Anything that is too high up in the pound cake pan will actually cook too fast and burn a little bit. So I want to make sure that everything is at a somewhat even level. You also want to tap your pound cake so that any air bubbles get out of it. While I've been making my pound cake, I've had my oven preheated at 325 degrees. I've moved my oven rack to the lower third. That way when my pound cake rises, it's not going to be too close to that top oven burner. I'm going to close this and cook this for about 75 to 90 minutes. You want to check it at the 60-minute mark for doneness, and then again at the 75-minute mark until a toothpick comes out clean. Let your pound cake rest in the pan for about 10 to 15 minutes before you attempt to flip it out. Now look, this is how you gonna know if you've been living right or not. Okay, if your pound cake don't come out, you ain't living right. Okay, the Lord trying to tell you something, okay? But look, see how mine came out? Hallelujah. Amen. I'm going to let the pound cake completely cool at the side while I make a little easy glaze for the pound cake. So I'm going to put in some sugar and then a little bit of vanilla flavoring and some milk and a bit of that almond extract. We're trying to mimic the flavors that are in the pound cake. And I am going to mix this and just add milk until it gets to the texture that I want. This is just a very simple glaze. It's going to look really pretty on the pound cake, but it is also going to help the Oreos that we put at the top stick. My pound cake has been cooling for about 3 hours now, and I'm just going to pour on that glaze and add some leftover Oreo crumbs. I do want to decorate this though, so I'm going to break some Oreos in half and just take a little bit of that extra glaze, and that's going to dry and help it to stick. I'm also going to put some on the inside, and to help those stick, I'm just going to use the cream that's in the Oreo. So open up your Oreo and then press it onto the inside, and it will stay right there. I feel like this looks super adorable for a pound cake. You guys let me know what you think. Are you going to wait till overnight to eat your pound cake? I actually did, believe it or not, okay? Y'all, and let's go ahead and get into the meal portion of this Soul Food Sunday. When I am deciding what to make for dinner, the first place I shop is my own pantry. Look, a lot of times we have all types of things hidden in our pantry that need to get used up. If I have a box of cornbread mix, I'm gonna do cornbread that week. Okay, and then that way when you shop, you can use sales ads to just kind of fill in the gaps with what you already have. When I was looking around my pantry, I saw sweet potatoes, I had cabbages and kale from my garden, as well as a can of pigeon peas and 2 boxes of jiffy, and I had some pecans. So that's how I came up with this menu. We're gonna do some jerk turkey legs, some smashed candy yams, some pigeon pea and coconut rice. So we're adding a little bit of Caribbean fusion to the soul food menu, and we're gonna do that butter pecan cornbread with a bourbon glaze. What y'all think about that lineup? Because I feel like this is a fire menu. Now I'm going to go ahead and mix together a marinade for my turkey legs. This is some jerk seasoning, green seasoning, a little bit of browning, a bit of sugar, and a few spices. I'm also going to add some brown sugar. This is not going to make it sweet. It's just going to balance out any of the spiciness that is in this rub. I have 3 jumbo turkey legs, but you can use, turkey wings, which is my favorite. They just didn't have turkey wings that day. You can also use more turkey legs than this. I just did not want any extra. I am starting on the turkey legs first because they are going to take the longest amount of time to cook. I'm initially going to put them in the oven at 350 degrees, and I'm going to cover them, and I'm going to let them cook in total for about 2 hours undisturbed. While my turkey legs are cooking, I am going to be working on the other items that I'm going to have in the dinner. Now, actually, they are going to be a bit cold because they're going to be done before the turkey leg is finished. However, I would rather heat them up than to just wait around. While that turkey leg is cooking, we're going to go ahead and get started on the smashed candy yams. I'm going to add some butter and some brown sugar, as well as some cinnamon, nutmeg, a little bit of ginger, and some salt, as well as some vanilla extract and a touch of lemon extract. That goes perfect with yams, and I'm also using some rum. Yes, some straight up Bacardi. If you have never had rum and yams, you must do it. It totally changes the flavor. I'm then going to mix this up, and I'm going to start to candy it a bit, okay? So I'm going to actually let this come up to a simmer and let all that sugar melt down. Then I am going to add about 3 pounds of chopped sweet potatoes. I've cut them into roughly 1-inch cubes. I'm going to mix them up now because as they cook, it's going to be very difficult to try to mix them. And no, you do not need to add any water. You will see that these yams will produce tons of water, so you don't need any at all. All you have to do is put the eye on very low and cover it, and it will let out all of its juices. So I'm going to let that simmer on a back eye while I start working on that rice. This is a can of pigeon peas. If you've never made coconut and pigeon pea rice, you've got to make this recipe. It tastes so good with everything else. I'm going to drain out the liquid in the beans because I'm going to keep that, and then I'm going to take a habanero and I'm going to just stick little cloves all in it. This is going to help flavor the rice, and by sticking the cloves inside of the habanero, you're not going to lose them into the rice. You can just fetch it out very easily. Do y'all love my little heart-shaped cast iron skillet? I think this thing is super adorable. So I'm going to use that today to cook my rice. I'm going to add a little bit of olive oil and butter, as well as a tablespoon of green seasoning and some onions and peppers that I've chopped up. I'm going to begin to saute this on medium heat for about 3 to 4 minutes until everything is really nice and fragrant. And then I'm going to add in 3 cloves of chopped garlic and saute that for about 30 seconds. Next, I'm going to put in about a half a tablespoon of tomato paste. That's going to add a little bit of a richness to the rice. And I'm going to cook that for about 1 minute until, it's spread out and you kind of want to get that little acidic bite out of the tomatoes. I really want to flavor those pigeon peas so well, so I'm going to put them in with the coconut milk and some spices, and I'm going to allow this to simmer for about 3 to 4 minutes, just so that flavor will really get deep down into those pigeon peas. Guys, I love flavor, so this is what I'm going to do. After 3 minutes, uncover it. You're going to find that your house is just smelling so amazing. And I'm going to put in the liquid that we took out of the pigeon peas. I've also added in a little bit of water to make sure that there's enough liquid to cook all of the rice. In total, you're going to have 3 cups of liquid, including the coconut milk, okay? Then you're going to add in 1.5 cups of rice that has been rinsed, and you're going to mix this and add in your Scotch bonnet or your habanero with the cloves and cover this to cook on the lowest setting for 20 minutes. At this point, my yams are pretty much done, but there's too much liquid, so I'm going to let them simmer uncovered while the liquid reduces. Kale and cabbage really mix together to form a delicious southern side dish. So I'm going to show you how you can cook them together, and they're going to be tender and delicious and super flavorful. So first, I'm starting out with a small cabbage because I'm not cooking so much today, and I'm going to use my knife to cut out that core, and then I'll just take my hand and pop it straight on out. I'm going to cut the cabbage to about 1/4 of an inch, somewhere between 1/4 and 1/2 inch thickness. It really just depends on how thick you like your cabbage to be. Into my pan, I'm going to add some olive oil as well as some butter and a little bit of fat back. Then I'm putting in some onion and just a touch of thyme. Now, if you don't have fresh thyme, you can put about a pinch of dried thyme. This is just for a subtle herby flavor, but you can leave it out. After it's sauteed for about 2 minutes, I'm then going to add in 2 cloves of garlic and my chopped up kale. I'm going to put that in first, okay, because I find that kale is a bit tougher than cabbage. So I'm going to let this cook on medium-low heat for about 10 minutes. It really does need that jump start in my opinion. Then I'm going to go in with all of my cabbage. This looks like so much, but you all know this is going to cook down. I'm going to season this with some garlic butter seasoning, whichever one you like, and I'm going to cover this and allow this to cook for about 10 minutes. While that is cooking, I am going to go ahead and mash up the candied yams. Now, I like to mash them sometimes because you really lock all of those yam juices in between all of the sweet potato, and I just feel like it is so delicious. A nice sweet alternative to having some mashed potatoes. Now my rice is done, and I'm going to fluff this up with my spatula just to make it nice and fluffy. You can also pick out the little twigs from the thyme and the herbs and take out the Scotch bonnet. Unless you want your rice a little spicy, then I guess you could mash it up into the rice. With my mashed candied yams done and just on low on a back eye, and now this rice is done, it's going to stay nice and warm inside of this cast iron. I am then going to check on my cabbage and kale. So the cabbage is a bit softer, but I'm going to go in and season it with a little bit of brown sugar, little Cajun seasoning, little vegeta, which is like a vegetable bouillon. And my pan was getting a bit dry, so I added in some water, and I'm going to take out those thyme leaves. I'm going to cover this again and just let this cook at the back until it's as soft as I want it to be. I'm now going to start working on my butter pecan cornbread. I'm going to turn the oven up to 375 degrees, and then I'm going to place this skillet in the oven. And yes, you can still do this while the turkey is in there. Since I want this to be a little on the warmer side, I'm going to just add this in during the last 20 to 25 minutes of the cook time for the turkey. First, I'll chop about a cup of pecans. Then I am measuring out a cup and a half of milk. Now this whole milk is slightly soured, okay, which is safe for baking, but not safe for fresh consumption. I'm going to put in about 2 teaspoons of vinegar so that this will turn into buttermilk. Now y'all know my man Jiffy, okay, we go way back like a Cadillac. Okay, so I'm going to add 2 boxes of Jiffy, and then I'm going to use my whisk just to get out a few of the lumps. I'm going to go ahead in with my pecans first and mix them up with the dry batter because I want them to get coated so that they don't all just clump up or float to the bottom. I'm then going to add a pinch of salt as well as my homemade buttermilk and a stick of melted unsalted butter. If you use salted butter, then leave out the additional salt. I'm also adding in 3 tablespoons of brown sugar, 2 eggs, a little bit of vanilla extract, and about 2.5 tablespoons of honey. On second thought, maybe this is a dessert cornbread, okay? But it does taste good, all right? If you're someone who doesn't like sweet cornbread, just act like it ain't cornbread. Act like it's dessert, and then you be good to go, okay? So I'm going to mix this up really well, making sure that I've incorporated everything, and then I'm going to bring Sister Maybe out. Y'all, she piping hot. She angry and piping hot, okay? Now I'm going to add my cornbread batter, and you want to hear that nice sizzle. Look, if you don't hear that sizzle, that means your cast iron skillet ain't angry, okay? It ain't hot enough. I am going to get all of this batter out. I got my spatula up in there, and I'm working that bowl, okay? I don't want to leave none of this goodness behind. I'm going to stick this in the oven for about 25 to 30 minutes. In total, my turkey has been cooking for about 2 hours. I want to uncover it for the last 25 to 30 minutes of the cook time because I want the turkey to get really brown. So when you put your cornbread in there, that's the same time you can baste and then uncover the turkey and then let it start baking for the last 30 minutes at 375 so it can get brown. If you've been enjoying this video, don't forget to give me a thumbs up and also subscribe and turn on the bell for more recipes. Are you all ready for this brown sugar bourbon glaze that we're going to make for this cornbread? Yes, this is taking us to new levels, honey. I'm adding some butter, brown sugar, and of course some bourbon in my pan, and I'm going to heat this until the brown sugar starts to get bubbly. Then I'm going to add in about a tablespoon of honey. I like this because it gives it a little bit of a stickiness, but you could leave it out. And I'm also going to put in a pinch of salt. Now my cornbread is ready. I know this because my toothpick comes out clean. I'm going to poke a few holes around the cornbread to help the glaze absorb. Then I'm going to pour over all this glaze. Now you do want to make sure this glaze is warm. It's going to help it spread a little bit easier. And of course you want to put this on your cornbread when it comes straight out that oven. All right. I'm going to use a brush just to get this everywhere. And y'all, I'm going to tell y'all something. Okay, you can't let the greedy demon try to get you, okay? Because you need to let this cornbread really cool all of the way before you cut it. I didn't do it, okay? The devil tried to get me today, all right? Because what you're going to see is that it's hard to get out of the pan. The pecans make it slightly crumbly until it's all the way cooled down. And I knew that, okay? I knew that. But see, I wasn't doing right. But it's okay because the cornbread still tasted absolutely delicious. My whole dinner is done now. These jerk turkey wings are delicious. They're nice and brown. My rice is ready. My candied yams, my vegetables. Baby, we about to throw down on this meal.
If you enjoyed this meal, let me know.
what parts of this dinner are you going to make, and let me know what is your favorite Soul Food Sunday dinner. You guys know I love you and Jesus loves you, and I'll see you next time in Kamira's Kitchen. Goodbye and God bless.